Hello, folks, and welcome once again to Focus on East Alabama. It's our pleasure to have with us today as our guest State Representative Chris Blackshear, who represents the 80th District. And Chris, let me again thank you for coming out and being with us today. I know you and I have had some problems hooking up here lately, but you're in session in Montgomery right now, and so we've had a little bit of difficulty, but finally got you here.
Well, first off, Baxley, thanks for having me on. It's always fun to come back home and catch up, especially with you. But it has been a busy. We're just finished week 2 in session of this 2017 legislative session, and we're off and running.
Oh, that's a great thing.
It is.
Okay. Now, I asked some of the girls that work with me at Citizen to give me 2 or 3 things that they'd like for you to talk about, and I guess the thrust of everything was what's happening.
Yeah, so, I was saying when you say, I know who the people would be behind those questions. I was concerned there for a second. I guess really what's happening is you really have, I think, the movement you've seen nationwide with President Trump winning back in November and being sworn in back in January. I think you're starting to see a lot of the trickle-down effects of that as well, too. One of the first things we did earlier this week in our session was, as part of the Republican caucus platform, was pass a resolution in support of Donald Trump's agenda and encouraging Congress to get behind the agenda, that he's trying to establish with that.
Right.
And we also passed a bill the other day that had a lot of opposition from the other side of the aisle as well, too, as far as sanctuary cities.
Oh, yes.
And what we were looking at doing with that was one of the big misnomers when it comes to immigration. There are immigration laws here in the United States, already in the state of Alabama, but we're just passing with the sanctuary city law of, number 1, any city or 2-year or 4-year institution, call yourself what you want to, but if you declare yourself a sanctuary city and choose not to follow the immigration laws that are already on the books and have been on the books for years.
For years and years. Yeah.
We're going to pull your state funding from you.
Yeah.
Now, is it a problem in Alabama? No. But I've seen too many times in government, we're getting too good at being reactive. Mm-hmm. I think this is a good instance of being proactive going forward. Again, we've had no issues of any cities or 2-year, 4-year institutions doing that in the state, but I think it's something that we went ahead and wanted to cover, and we took care of that as well, too.
What is some of the pending local legislation that our folks and our viewers would be particularly interested in right now, Chris?
Well, I think the first thing is the caveat around pending local legislation is the way local legislation works is here in District 80, Phoenix City, Russell County, you have 6 members of what we call a local delegation.
Right.
So the 6 members of our local delegation here, first off in the House, are myself, George Bandy, and Barry Fort. Those are the 3 in the House. The Senate is Gerald Dowell, Tom Watley, and Senator Beasley. Mm-hmm. So that's how it works. So when a bill gets dropped that's local, it has to advertise in a paper circulation, which happens to be Citizen of East Alabama, and it will run for 30 days. Then it can be dropped by any member of your local delegation. But the unique thing about local delegation is in the local bills are all 6 members of your local delegation must sign off on a local bill or it's dead. It will not pass. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say it's kind of unique. Just because you may turn something in you want it necessarily doesn't mean it's going to pass.
Right.
Excuse me, I've been fighting a cold all week. Well. So some of the bills we're looking at now that actually they've been reading the Citizen that has run for the last 3 weeks, 2 specifically as it relates to the county. One is dealing with the lodging tax. Mm-hmm. And the way that works is by state law, counties get a portion, states get a portion of your local lodging tax. So hotel, motel, lodging tax.
Right.
Here in Phoenix City, Russell County, it's 15%. So out of that, 4% goes to the state. 2% goes to the county, Russell County. 9% goes to the city. And you can choose to do with that money as you please. So back in 1989, excuse me, the Russell County Commission deemed to earmark that full 2% to the Chamber of Commerce